comfortable in the body, comfortable with what you have, what you don't have. Second chakra was about being at ease with your emotions. Emotions arise naturally. When someone is not comfortable with the emotion, they start reacting out of the emotion. It's okay to feel jealous, it's okay to feel disappointed, upset, or whatever. But the emotion needs to pass. Okay? It's momentary. It comes through, it passes, you move on. Okay, so that's being at ease with your emotions. So in this third chakra, it's about being at ease with what you do. Okay, activity. So energy, when with this chakra, energy is expressed through activity. And this chakra starts developing around the age of 18 months. You notice that is the time when the child starts asserting his or her will. Okay? Children want to naturally become independent. They start wanting to do their own activities. All along the mother or the father, the caretaker was doing the activities for them, tying their shoes, feeding them. Suddenly they want to be independent, they want to tie their own shoelaces, put on their own clothes, feed themselves. So this is when the ego starts developing. Okay? The ego is nothing but part of us. Okay? It's a part of our growing personality. So they want to be independent because they want to start asserting their power, okay? Their power, their willpower, and they want to start having control. Okay, so how they were treated during this delicate phase will depend on whether their chakra becomes balanced or imbalanced. So the energy that really affects this is shame. Okay, when we looked at guilt, guilt actually comes from within. Because if I judge myself, inside I have a judge that's telling me whether I committed a crime, whether I sinned, whether I should be guilty. So that energy was from within. But this shame energy actually comes from outside. See, all the fingers are pointing from outside. So it's put onto you. Okay, it's subjected onto a person from the outside. So what's the opposite of this? To transform this energy, this shame energy. What energy should I have so that I do not feel shame, or my shame is reduced?
Pride?
Confidence.
What?
Pride or proud?
No pride.
Confidence.
No confidence. Something close?
Appreciation.
Not really, no.
Lack of self-esteem.
There's another word for it. Self-esteem. You what?
Confidence, belief in self.
Self-respect.
Yes, self-respect. People clap. The more you respect yourself, the less opportunity for shame to enter this inside you. Okay, you will notice the greater the shame, the less the respect. The more you respect yourself, the lesser the chance for shame to come in. So there's a lot of childhood traumas that first bring this shame energy into a child. Okay, so we'll look at that. Okay, first is the parenting style. We all heard of this D word, discipline. I have to discipline my child, otherwise he'll be all over the place. Okay, discipline is necessary, it's not a bad word, but how did children listen to parents? How did they obey out of respect, or was it out of fear? Or did you listen to your own parents out of fear, or did you really respect them? Okay, so sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's like, 50-50, I respect, 50% is fear. So anytime there's fear, it affects this chakra. They feel shame, shame energy goes in. So what's the outcome of this authoritarian, when parents force? So authoritative means what? It means something is forced upon you. You don't have a say. Rules are meant to be discussed, but if somebody says, you have to be home by 10, and you say, no, the party ends at 11. No, you have to be home by 10. Full stop. That means there's no room for discussion. Okay, you have to do. So what's the outcome? What happens to the child when you have this stuff? When it's forced onto you? So there's two outcomes. The child either becomes rebellious. Rebellious means they learn how to manipulate their way out of a situation, or they become obedient. Okay, both are negative outcomes. And what happens is, with this also this thing starts developing, this energy is called anger. Okay, You notice that rebellious people are actually very angry people. Deep down, they are very angry, and they react, they become rebels. Okay. Sometimes this rebellious nature continues. Usually, it continues all the way to adulthood. I've seen rebellious adults. Okay. Rebellious children become rebellious adults. Obedient children also become very obedient with adults. Okay. In both cases, there's anger. How the anger came about? How the anger came about in the first place?
Because they were controlled.
No, because the situation was such that they felt helpless. Okay, you see, the child feels helpless. It's like, if you don't give me a chance to discuss, you don't give me my free will. Basically, free will is taken away. Remember, this chakra was about will, power, and will. Will. Okay, this is actually your free will. Power and control means free will. I have free will. Okay, free will means what? I can make a choice. You ask me to choose A, B, C, or D. I have a choice. I can choose. But when free will is taken away from you, that means your power is gone, your control is gone. You have no more free will. Okay, so if you are put in a situation where free will is taken away from you, then the shame energy, you feel your sense of self-respect goes down. It's like they didn't respect me enough to give me a choice to exercise my free will. Okay, so in this sort of a situation, usually the child feels very helpless. Out of helplessness, anger develops, and then either they become rebellious or obedient, and both are not good outcomes. Okay, a rebellious person becomes a rebellious adult. That means what? They start forcing. If free will is taken away, that means I have to use my own means to control the situation. Okay, so they play truant, jump out of the window. Parents say, no, you can't go for this party, and then they find another way to go to the party, right? Rebelliousness. So the behavior, they take the control in their hands. They want to take the control in their hands to manipulate the situation, to have control over the situation. Okay, and this behavior becomes a pattern. So anytime there's a chance to be, you feel your free will is taken away, you become rebellious, and it becomes a behavior pattern in the person until they grow up. Okay, the obedience again is it good to be obedient? Some people say, yeah, it's good, my child is so obedient, he listens, perfect, 100% obedient. Is that good? Is that a good quality?
You stop
How many
using
say
your brain.
yes? Who says, yeah, obedience is very good?
If they understand what they're doing is right and be obedient, it's okay.
Sometimes you can be obedient.
Obedient is good to a certain point, but as
Yeah.
far as you're convinced, then it's fine. But you're not convinced, then you need to
You're suppressing
speak
your
out
feelings.
your will.
Okay, as long as free will is taken
Yeah.
away and you are obedient because you don't have a choice, you have no choice, you have to do, then it's not a good thing. Okay? What happens when you becomes a behavior pattern? It's like you're forced to be obedient, and then your mind starts. It's like you're being brainwashed. I have to be disciplined. I have to obey. My mother said this. My father said, okay, I have to do. That means your free will is taken away from you. Your power is taken away from you. What happens when power is taken away from you? When you grow up, when you become an adult,
Depending.
your
can't make your own decision.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Your
Become
will is taken
dependent.
away.
Yeah.
You start blaming your sense of responsibility. The word is responsibility. You do not become responsible for your actions anymore. Anything happen, you say, oh, yeah,
Because
my
you
mother
don't-
told me to do.
Yeah.
My husband told me to do, so I did it. Actually, it was you. You always had a choice. Some women they say, no, I did it because my husband, he doesn't. In classes sometimes we say, it's good to be vegetarian, and they really want to be vegetarian, but no, my husband he still eats meat, and I have to cook for him, And then they want to be vegetarian, but they point the finger. They don't take responsibility. So they have given the the responsibility to somebody. They point the blame. So they don't take responsibility for their actions. It's easy for them to point to others and say, because of this person, I'm like that. I did this action because of someone else. So an obedient child grows up to become a person who does not take responsibility for his or her actions. Okay? And so both are negative consequences of this authoritative parenting style. The other one is punishment. We covered this in first chakra. Again, punishment, any situation which takes away your free will. See, this punishment, yeah, they're quite harsh, but yeah, some people go through punishment where they don't have a choice. It's like the punishment is forced onto you, and you just, again, you put in a helpless situation. Okay, helpless situation where you have to follow. Again, your free will is taken away from you. Okay, so again, all this brings up anger. You know, some people, they accumulate anger. Anger gets accumulated in the body. So this is a chakra which gives rise to anger energy. Okay, criticism. What is excessive criticism? When you don't ask for feedback and somebody gives you feedback,
You take it personally.
and then the feedback, the person who's giving you that feedback thinks he's doing you a favor, you know. Oh, I'm giving the feedback so that they can improve, you know, I want him to improve his life, give him motivation. So I had this lady, she's already in her like 50s, and her father used to tell her, even when she was an adult, you know, you see, look at your brothers, they all have bought a house, what about you? And she was already an adult. And you know, her father thought that, oh, I'm giving like support, motivation, encouragement. But no, that's criticism. That's downright criticism. I mean, nobody asks for your feedback, and then you give, and you think in the name of motivation or improving the other person's life. But actually, it pulls the shame energy comes through, because you actually put the person down. You're not realizing that your words can hurt. Okay, so this is criticism, and sometimes it's very excessive. It becomes like a naggy behavior. Why aren't you good enough? Look at your sister. Sometimes comparisons come into the criticism. Oh, look at your neighbor's son doing so well in school. What about you? Why can't you learn the piano? Look at your sister. I'm paying so much fees for you. Why aren't you good enough? So all these are criticism, finger pointing, and then even name calling. You know, you lazy fellow. I mean, if it becomes a habit, lazy fellow, what are you doing? And then it goes into the psyche, you know? It goes into the person's psyche. It actually become a behavior pattern. This is frustration. All parents are frustrated, you know, they sometimes get frustration out of work, stress. You know, we live a busy lifestyle. So at a young age, children, when they do something, you know, a child draws a nice painting, shows it to the mother or the father, and the father had a bad day at work and just dismisses the painting or whatever the child created. Okay, so the children start feeling like, oh, my work wasn't valued. Okay, children need a lot of appreciation, encouragement, the right dose of appreciation. So parents, the emotional state of the parents does very much affects the child. Neglect. All these like iPhones and iPads, they have a higher priority. Sometimes, even on the dinner table or the dining table, sometimes these gadgets have more priority than the people on the table. Okay, so this neglect. Anytime a child feels neglect, they didn't receive attention is withdrawn. They start to feel they're not worthy. You see, this self-respect comes from sense of self-worth. Okay, you don't, anything that makes you feel that your self-worth was taken away from you, your self-respect. Okay, respect comes from within, and in childhood it's very important to make children feel respected and cherished. This is like so common. I think every family that I encounter more or less has this it's very subtle, you know, parents don't need to say. They won't say this is my favorite or this is not my favorite. It's the actions. You know, the mother gives if like the son comes back home, it's like he gets like the favorite food is cooked for him. And then if the daughter also visits the parents, it's like she didn't get her favorite food cooked. You know, it's very subtle, you know. It's like you can see, the children can pick it up. These are subtle signals they can pick up, like one child is favored over the other, or one child is left out. They can pick up these signals. So they start to feel the child that's left out actually starts to feel this shame energy comes in. It's like, I'm not good enough. And then also the favoritism, sometimes they know the cause of the favoritism. It's like maybe the other sibling is doing better at school, performing better, more obedient, or for any other reason. Children can pick up why they are favored, over the other, not favored, why one child is favored over the other. Yeah, sad but true. Conditional love, this is like quite apparent. Where children are, this actually is most apparent in the reward and punishment system. How were you rewarded? If you met expectations of the parent, then you received love. If you didn't meet the expectation, then love was withdrawn from you. All these are signs. Children can pick it up. It's like, okay, I get a new bicycle if I do well in school. If I didn't do well, I get nothing. Yeah? So this is when they learn from childhood. They actually start learning about conditional love. That means if I perform, because this chakra is about action. It's about their performance, what actions they did. So even if they did an accident, sometimes children, some accident, something falls over, something drops. They start to learn cause and effect. Okay, if I throw this, it's gonna fall on the floor. I throw my food on the floor. So they know the effect of their actions. And the other thing is they observe the adult. So they have done something, they've done a mistake. So then they start looking at the reaction of the adult. Okay, how is the adult handling the mistake, the inappropriate, the wrong action of the child? So children do make mistakes, but sometimes the flaw is put on the child. The child had made a mistake and they actually start to feel flawed. The action is wrong, right? The child is not wrong. Okay, the action is wrong, not the child. So if they keep getting scolded, they keep getting the reaction of the adult makes them feel that they've done a grave mistake. They start to feel that something is wrong with them. Okay, the action was wrong. They are not wrong. They are not a defective piece. They start feeling like, oh, I'm a defective piece. Something wrong with me. This is age inappropriate behavior. Some children, unfortunately, they're forced to do activities that's not appropriate for their age. For example, a 10-year-old child being forced to babysit a 4-year-old, babysitting duties. They can't go out and play. They're forced to do things like helping out in the kitchen when it's not quite age appropriate. So they never quite feel like what they have done is adequate, because the adult will always do it better. So then again, shame energy starts coming into this chakra. Sexual abuse we covered in chakra 2. Again, in this chakra, a lot of shame comes, especially if you're a victim of sexual abuse. It's impossible to speak about it sometimes until like many years you end up keeping it a secret, because the shame energy is a huge burden. You don't feel comfortable to speak. So all these examples, there's examples, general examples, which really affect self-esteem. You start getting a voice in your head that starts criticizing you. You see, whatever you receive from the outside, it becomes a voice in the head. Okay, I'm not good enough. I didn't do well enough. Maybe I'm not good. If you make a mistake, the mistake was, you're supposed to learn from the mistake, but you start taking the mistake onto yourself, and you start feeling like yourself, your being is not good enough. Okay, so this really affects self-respect. Okay, all this causes self-respect to go down.
Is it self-judgment?
No, it's not coming from within. It's coming from outside. People are judging you. So people are making you feel that you made a mistake. You made a mistake, but they make you feel like you are a defective piece. You are a flaw.
So it is, just to add,
Yeah.
so the judgment comes from outside,
Yes.
okay, and you take it as an inner voice, that over a period of time, it happens like an inner voice. Okay, if somebody says you are a lazy, okay, you are not perfect, so that becomes your inner voice later on. Okay, so that's why you say, I must not make a mistake, I must be perfect. So this is all the voice from outside. It came as a judgment, so that becomes the inner voice.
No, I was telling you about self-judgment.
Yeah, later on, it leads to self-judgment.
Because in chakra 2, yeah, I understand you were trying to distinguish. Chakra 2 is about emotions. So this chakra is about action. Okay, action means you express yourself to action. Okay, the child wants to make a sand castle. Okay, you want to, as an adult, you want to launch a new project. Okay, you want to train to become a doctor, for example. And then there's this, so this energy stops you from taking action. Chakra 2 is about emotions. You can't express your emotions. It becomes frozen in your body. And this is anything to do with action. You know, sometimes you want to do a certain project, but you stop yourself. You think, oh, am I good enough to get into law school? Or I want to become a doctor, but you know, all my life nobody really appreciated. Everybody put me down, and this voice in your head starts judging yourself. You have free will. You have, you know, as an adult, maybe you have free will now to do your dreams. Maybe you always wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer, and then this voice comes in and stops you. Oh, am I good enough to go into law school? Do you think I'll get the grades? So any activity that gets stopped because of this self-criticism. So this is more of self-criticism rather than self-judgment. It's a critical voice in the head that stops you from taking action. You see, if I had that voice in my head, I wouldn't put this together and share a chakra workshop. You know, it would stop. I would have stopped myself. Yeah. Do you think people will like this stuff about chakras? There's so many books anyway. You know, so I went through my own this exercise. Yeah. So it stops you from taking action. Because to manifest, we have to take action. Some people, they just sit on their laurels, they just rest. They daydream. One day I'll be that. I'll do that. I'll be a doctor or whatever, and they don't take the action because it's like almost like self-sabotage. Yeah. So this excessive usually comes if you had been if your pattern was rebelliousness in your childhood, most likely you have an excessive third chakra. Okay, so respect is something that comes from within. Okay, nobody can give me respect. Okay, it's something I have to feel from within myself. Okay, so when this chakra is not in balance, you start seeking respect from outside. Okay, so how they try to obtain respect from outside. Okay, through their authority. Okay, I'm the CEO. Okay, so you have to respect me. Or at home, you know, I'm the mother. I'm the house. I cook the food. You have to respect me. Respect the food. You must. So any position of authority that, any role that they play, they try to seek respect through that activity. So the will becomes very excessive, try to dominate others, control situations. Okay, they need to be right. Okay, they must have the last word. Usually very stubborn, arrogant. And these people are very busy. They like to be busy, the busyness, because this is about action, right? The busyness makes them feel like, I'm doing something, people will look up to me, if I sit down, people will think I'm a lazy fellow. So they keep trying to be busy. The more busy they are, the more they feel good. They join societies, try to be the president of the club, president of the association, because the title is good, they feel good, doing action, helping the people, So they seek accomplishments, so appreciation from outside for a job well done. They seek awards. Some people join competitions. They frame up their awards. Have you been to offices where like the whole wall, like all the rooms, the entire room is just filled up with all of their awards, And you enter, it's like, you don't really get to see the person. Your eye goes to that, all the plaques around the room, all their awards. Okay, so these are people, they pride themselves for having accomplished something, so their value is, if they didn't have all these awards on the wall, they probably feel very small. So inside they feel very small, okay, so they're seeking appreciation and respect from the outside to feel big about themselves, to feel, to boost their ego, okay, they want ego boost.
Is that the overworking people? Workaholic?
Yes, workaholic as well. Yeah, I said they thrive on busyness. So people who are workaholic, they feel good. It's like, hey, I'm workaholic. I'm doing something. So the ego feels good.
What if, for example, someone has a natural passion for studying or doing something, and they just get the award like naturally, not
Yeah, that's
necessarily
right.
to like show off, but just to say, you know what, this is me, and I want to show people who I actually am. You know, it's my natural talent. Is that a good thing, or?
Passion is different. Passion, because you yourself will know if you're passionate about something. You don't overdo it. Like, you know, there's 7 days in a week, right? You work 5 days, and people who are with the excessive third chakra, they overdo it. So let's say you can leave the office at 5 p.m., but they would want to stay back. They would want to stay back and work. The work makes them feel good. It gives them an ego boost. But if it's a passion, if it's your passion, you are in a bit middle path. You know, your whatever activity you are doing is balanced. You would know that it's balanced. It's not you're not overdoing it. Okay, passion drives you. Yes, I agree. Passion drives you to do certain things, to train in a certain field. But it's a balanced approach.
I'm just one very good point. Like some people see work as a chore, and other people actually are quite passionate about it. So.
Yes, so passion we covered in second chakra. When passion drives you to do something, you do it out of your joy, your passion. It's a joyful activity. But people with an excessive third chakra, they don't do this work out of passion. At the back of their mind, it's like they know that if they do work hard, they'll get that promotion, they'll get that increment, and people in the office will applaud them, or people in the society would applaud them. You know, you get my point?
Yeah,
Yes,
totally.
yes.
Yeah, so they do the work with the knowing that the end point, at the end of the day, after some time, they will receive acknowledgement from the society, like, okay, look at me, now I've graduated, I'm this big time, big shot, you know. So they have that at the back of their mind as they're doing the work, the activity. Yeah. Okay, so some people, they exert this will can also be exerted over your body. So like people like bodybuilders, some bodybuilders, most, they do this, they exert a lot of will on their body. They force themselves to go to the gym, build up muscles, and then they participate in sports. Or even if they don't participate in competitions, people sort of notice them, right? They'll wear like a tight t-shirt that shows the bulge, all the muscles, because they want people to notice how much they've been going to the gym. So even people who participate in yoga, you know, they do all these poses and they think they do it for the love of the sport, but actually they're doing it, and then they'll show it. Hey, look at me! I can do this position, this asana. So again, it's an exert this will. They're just putting a lot of will, just forcing their body, you know, to contort, you know, go in a certain way, such to receive that acknowledgement from others. So they become very competitive, you know, at work. You might have seen these characters. They micromanage others. They try to take the applause, you know, I did it, you know. Their subordinate might have done the report, and then they take the credit for it. Yeah, and then these people, when they meet others, they sort of, in the back of their head, they sort of gauge, okay, is this person superior to me or inferior to me? Okay, is he better or less than me? You know, this is mentally they do that. So these people are deficient. If you come in the deficient category, most likely you are a very obedient child. Okay, you sort of just grow up obedient, giving your willpower away to others. Okay, so the will becomes very weak. Okay, so let's say we say, you know, I gave the example of the lady who wants to be vegetarian, but then maybe the husband still wanted to continue eating meat, and then the will is very weak, so they give up easily. Why bother? You know, because you need to stand on your 2 feet and stamp your foot down and say, yes, I will do this. Okay, so discipline becomes very poor, follow through is very less. They avoid responsibility. So this makes you become a victim. Okay, you start developing a victim personality. In your mind, it's like, poor me. You know, I did this, so much work for so many things I did, and I didn't receive anything, no acknowledgement, nothing. I sort of feel victimized, like as if life did a great injustice on them. You know? As if life was not fair to them. They, poor me, you know. The mentality is like that. So they play it safe. They prefer to be a people pleaser. So you'll notice the deficient and this excessive, right? They usually attract each other. You'll notice in relationships, in workplaces, family, usually like one couple is a deficient. In the couple, one is deficient, one is excessive. They go in hand in hand because you can't have two excessive. They'll be loggerheads all the time. So one deficient, one is the obedient one, and one is the forceful, dominating one. Okay. Even in workplaces, you see sometimes one boss. The boss is the dominating one, and then the subordinate is the follower. So these two attract like a magnet. So usually these people they are followers. You know, they like to follow. They give their will. You know, they don't like to exercise freedom of choice. See how you develop your willpower, how you increase your willpower. When you exercise your choice. You have choices in life. You see, if you don't like something, you can quit your job. If you don't like what you are doing, you can. There's always choice. But when your will is weak, you don't exercise that choice. Okay, you think you have no choice, but we always have a choice. Always there is a choice. So these people, they don't exercise their choices, so the will becomes very weak, easily manipulated by others. So the excessive character will manipulate the deficient character. Okay, and then passive aggressive. You all know what's passive aggressive? Passive aggressive. When I started learning about this, I really learned passive aggressive. Okay, so when a child, when you take away freedom, you take away a child's willpower. You say, for example, you're telling the child, don't talk back. Okay, this is the final decision. Don't talk back. So what happens? You take away the child's willpower, free will. Okay, you take away free will. So what they do is they will exercise their free will in an unhealthy way. So for example, if you take away a child's will, free will, and you say, okay, this is it, full stop, don't talk back. What happens the next day? The child will purposely be late for school. Do you notice? The child purposely does an activity which irritates the parent. You know, they hide their shoes. They purposely want to be late for school. I say, oh, hurry up, you know, we have to get to school. And then they do it on purpose, you can tell. Like they're purposely being naughty, they throw a tantrum so that, you know, because their free will was taken away from them. So they exercise their will in another way. See, they want to control the situation, right? So they exercise their free will in a way that usually is unhealthy. So this is a pattern that becomes, if you did it in childhood, right, it becomes part of your personality. So I've seen adults, and I've been a victim of, I've done passive aggressive myself, and I've seen passive aggressive as well. It's like, for example, this couple, you know, husband and wife, and then the husband tells, the wife tells the husband, okay, can you drop me in the office tomorrow, you know? And the husband doesn't really want to, he wants to sleep in, you know, he watched football in the night and he wants to sleep in. And, you know, for some reason, you know, he can't say no to his wife because she's like, you have to drop me at the office. And then 8 o'clock, she's waiting for him, and then he arrives at 8:30. He gets ready at, like, he's only ready at 8:30. He makes her wait for half an hour. Okay, so that's passive aggressive. That means the behavior pattern becomes passive aggressive, and it's very self-sabotaging. End up sabotaging relationships, projects. You know, imagine in a team at work. Sometimes you have people who do this. You know, they are like junior staff. Like junior staff, they don't have a say. I've observed this at work. Like a junior staff, he has to listen to the senior staff, and he doesn't have a say in the project, for example. No decision making, no free will, and then he purposely sabotages the project. You know, like you say, okay, submit the report. You have to submit it by 10. Okay, 10 a.m. That's it. And then he submits the report, and it's full of grammatical spelling errors. Okay, so it's a behavior that's done purposefully, and the person that's doing that behavior is not conscious, is not aware, but it's a passive-aggressive behavior pattern. Any questions about this? So when this chakra is balanced, our self-esteem is balanced. Okay, that means we respect ourselves. Okay, when your self-respect is intact, you can take challenges. Okay, anything to do with actions, you can accept challenges, face the unknown. You know, life is we all have to face new situations, right? we have to sometimes come out of our comfort zone. Okay, I could be sitting at home and enjoying myself, but I have to come out of my comfort zone. I have to take a flight, come to UK. So it's new experiences. We all go through new experiences. So if your third chakra is in balance, you can take risks, face new challenges, new experiences. And if you make a mistake, it's perfectly fine. Okay, don't have to feel ashamed about it. And you can learn from the mistakes. So not everyone can make mistakes. Sometimes people feel ashamed. They can't laugh at themselves. The anger comes up immediately. Oh, they become harsh on themselves. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. So the self-critical voice is so strong that if they make a mistake, they judge themselves first. They criticize themselves first. Do you notice that? People don't really criticize you, but you end up criticizing yourself first if you make a mistake, because the internal self-criticism is very strong. Okay, so usually it's anger. They have a lot of suppressed anger. Okay, authority figures. Sometimes I've seen people who are in authority, like maybe you meet like the Prime Minister or you meet like a guru, and then the person's behavior changes. Suddenly they are like very meek, very like submissive. Their behavior pattern changes. So it's because of authority figures. They view people in authority, they put them in a pedestal, and then their behavior is different. It's like the CEO is coming into your office, and suddenly your behavior changes, you become very nice. Okay. So, and then proactive, taking risks. And if this chakra is blocked, it's very difficult to be spontaneous. Sometimes we might suggest your friend suggests you a spontaneous, like an activity. Hey, let's go for a holiday. We can afford, we can have 2 days. And then your response is very rigid. Say no. So this is an example of power. For example, someone who's training very hard. So they train for the profession actually because they want to receive respect from the society. Okay, so usually as a child you get criticism, and then control. So people who have this chakra imbalance, they become control freaks. I did the first time I did the workshop in Singapore, right? There was this guy in the audience, and the screen was like this. It's like coming out of a little bit, like it was crooked, little bit, just a little bit. And he was sitting in the audience, and he was so frustrated and annoyed. He was so annoyed that the screen wasn't like straight and like perfect, And then at the end of the session, he said, "Oh, what do I do about this screen? I'm getting annoyed for the last 2 hours." So that's the control freak mentality. It's like perfection. You become a perfectionist. You want everything to be perfect. Okay, so anything that you can control to make sure things are perfect. And usually it came because as a child, you had expectations on you. Parents wanted you to be perfection, according to their sense of, their idea of perfection. So physical disorders, again, in this part of the body, eating disorders, overeating or undereating. Sometimes food is used to comfort, as a comfort, you go for comfort food, just to put yourself at ease. Digestive disorders, bowel syndrome, there's this thing called irritable bowel syndrome. This comes from this chakra imbalance. Diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure. Again, high blood pressure because there's so much anger bubbling inside. You get tired easily, muscle spasms, anything to do with the stomach, liver. Again, anger gets stored in the liver, gallbladder, pancreas. Alright, so we must learn how to transform this energy. Yeah, okay, Pradeep.
Good presentation. Okay. So how do you feel about this chakra? You were thinking, I thought the first is too much. Then the second is really too much. Then the third is going on top of it. So this is the reason I said this is a self-transformation workshop. Okay, this is a self-realization workshop. the more you read about this, the understand about these chakras, the more you understand about yourself. Okay? And more you understand yourself, the more there is a possibility you can be a better version of yourself. So the third chakra is all about, the first is all about survival. The second is all about emotions. The first is a earth element. Earth is the earth element. The second is a water element. And the third is a fire element. It's the element of fire. It's the power. And this chakra relates to your actions. How your actions are based on. In the second chakra, how your emotions are based on. You have to understand all the chakras are connected to each other. Okay, the second is connected to the third. The first is connected to the third. It's all connected to each other. But also there is a segregation. The segregation is, second is to do with the emotions. Like guilt is an emotion. The third is about action. How you are behaving, how is your actions. And the energy which affects the third chakra is shame. Actually, shame is an energy. It's a very subtle energy. Superficial shame. Somebody directly trying to shame you, you can understand. Okay, that's a shame energy. But there is a self-criticism. There is an inner shame which is coming up. So that's very subtle. So you need to be more aware to figure it out. So you just look at this. The self-esteem. What is self-esteem? How do you define self-esteem?
Is it how you value yourself?
How do you value yourself? Very good. Give her a good round of applause. What value you are giving to yourself? This is where the self-respect comes from. Okay. So this is the word respect. You think about this respect. Does the respect come from outside? Can the respect come from outside? Or it's an internal thing?
It's an internal thing.
How many of you feel respect comes from outside?
It is affected by outside.
That's a different question. My question is, does the respect come from outside? An outside person might be respecting you, but you are not respecting yourself. You don't feel the outside respect. Okay. So the respect really comes from inside of you. It comes from yourself. Does the respect come from your mind? Does the respect come from, I program my mind. Okay, I'm going to be respectful. I program my mind. No. Does the respect come from your body? No. The respect comes from yourself. What value you give it yourself. So the respect comes from yourself. So if you don't connect yourself, if you don't know about yourself, do you think self-respect is possible? Is it possible?
No.
It's not possible. Very good. That much everybody is clear? Okay. Now there is another part in this chakra which is ego. Can somebody define ego? What is ego?
It comes with the stubbornness. You don't want to bend because your ego is still.
Define ego. What is ego?
Overvalue of yourself. Same value. You value.
God out.
Comparing with others.
Blind spot.
It is like, this is me. This is me.
I. Yes. I. Give her a small. Give her a good one. That's a small I. Ego is a small I. Ego is actually part of the self. Ego is part of the self. Ego is very much needed for your soul evolution. Ego is neither positive nor negative. Some people say, oh, ego is bad. No, ego is not bad. And ego is neither good. It is neither good nor bad. It is just part of yourself. Sometimes the ego narrows your vision. You have to understand this point. Ego narrows your vision. So take the example of a telescope. You see through the telescope. Can you see the bigger picture through the telescope? You see through the telescope, you see through into the sky. Probably you can see one star or two stars. You can see far away objects, but probably you can see one or two. But how many stars are there in the sky? Infinite, billions and billions. But when you're seeing through the telescope, you can see only one. Ego is similar to that. The ego operates like that. It limits. Ego is a limiting factor. It limits your perception. But when you take the ego out, you can see a 360-degree view. Similarly, the more you educate your ego, the more you understand the bigger picture. Some people say, should you control the ego? Ego is boiling up. Ego is like an aspect of you which is like insulted, hurt, then it reacts. So then what should you do? If you are hurt, then what should you do? You should educate your ego. You should not suppress your ego. You should educate your ego. What is educating the ego mean?
Channelizing it properly.
Understanding the bigger picture. Maybe there is, okay, my ego is hurt, I am feeling hurt. I am feeling hurt because I am looking into a very narrow perspective. But why don't I educate my ego so that I expand, I broaden my perspective, so I see the other point of view. So then that is educating the ego. When you educate the ego, naturally your anger suppresses. Your anger disappears. So ego, you have to understand, is very much part of yourself. And if you are a perfect soul, the first time you are coming to the planet Earth, if you are a perfected soul, you are perfect. Is there any possibility for learning? Is there any possibility for growth? No. There is no. If you are already perfect, then what is there to learn? There is nothing to learn. So you take the aspect of yourself as ego, because the ego is part of yourself. You come in the first incarnation, you work through it, you broaden your perspective. Every lifetime you take, you broaden your perspective. And towards the final lifetimes, you completely understand the ego and you educate the ego. That's when you become enlightened. Okay, so this is something you need to understand. Again, we have discussed some of the questions we got, right? Let's see that. Where was the questions? I think in the later stage. You got your question answered? The difference between criticism, self-criticism. Yeah. So you have to think in terms of actions. Because your inner voice criticizes you, I don't think you can do it. Suppose you want to start a new business and you've been shamed in your childhood. Like you are not good, you are this, you are that, and they called you names. So you've been shamed in your childhood and your willpower is taken away. So you criticize yourself, you feel like, I don't think I can do it. There is an inner voice which is going on, I don't think I can do it. So your work is stopped. You want to start a new business, but you cannot start a new business because of this inner criticism which is happening. Okay, so that's the question. So your question is, what if all the awards are put in the wall, what's wrong in it? If they are really awards, what's the wrong in it? You see, there is always a balance. Okay, if you have a good award and you're feeling very happy that you got that award, okay, you can have one or two. But if your whole room is full of awards, there is something wrong. Because you want to show to the other people how great you are. Because anybody who enters your room, they want to see that awards, and then naturally you want the respect from there. So you're expecting respect from outside. That's why you're showcasing that. Got it? There's a very subtle difference. So they're always chasing for respect because they don't have their inner respect. They're always chasing for respect. This is the excessive criticism. This is the excessive energy. When this chakra goes into the excessive pattern, they chase for respect. So these are the people who normally become politicians, religious leaders, figures of authority. They always want to climb the ladder. They always want to be in the position of authority. They always want to have the final say. They always want to have the final say. They want to feel something like they are superior to others. They always have this one-up consciousness. I am one step better than the other person. Because they don't respect themselves deeply, they always want to expect respect from others. So they have this one-up consciousness. They always want to be one step ahead of others. So this is the excessive pattern. And this excessive pattern comes if the child is rebellious. In the childhood, if the child's willpower is not respected, then there are two possibilities, as Navneet has told you. One is becoming obedient, and one is becoming excessive. If a person becomes into excessive character, then he does everything to get the respect from outside. And if the person is deficient, he feels a victim all the time. Poor me, poor me. And they feel like they are helpless. That is a deficient. Let us discuss this conditional love. This conditional love actually affects a lot of adults. We'll discuss more about in the fourth chakra also, but we have to discuss it here. Rewards and punishment systems. Only when you do a certain things, you are rewarded. If you're not doing that, you are punished. It's like a carrot and stick. Okay, so this really affects the psyche of the child, and when they grow up, they have the same mentality. If somebody is doing good to them, they are good people. Right? If the husband is giving money for shopping, it's a good husband. If the husband is not giving money for the shopping, he's a bad husband. If the husband is nice, on the day of salary, the woman will cook nice things, sweets, make sure everything is taken care. But if the husband is angry, that's it, she's not even cooking. So this really affects the psyche, the rewards and punishment system. So you need to take care of this. This is something very important. And
Sorry, can I just question on that? Could this also work with how affectionate and how loving you are? Like I could be really hugging and kissing and complimenting and actually looking at you because I feel like you're doing good, or I'm pissed off at you and I just can't keep on you. It's the same thing, isn't it?
can you repeat it again, please?
Instead of doing it by not cooking, I could just simply ignore you because I feel you're not.
You can have a healthy expression, You can say, actually, I'm not happy with you. You can say, I'm not happy with you. I don't. See, there is nothing to do with the cooking. His actions are affecting you. You can express his actions are affecting you. So you can express it back. If you have a good self-esteem, if you respect yourself, and if you're not happy with your partner, you can say, I don't like the way what you are doing. Full stop. You don't need to allow the shame energy come near you. But these people, they allow the shame energy to come, and it comes in an unhealthy back door. You got it? It's actually a little more deeper than you're thinking. You have to think in terms of energy, actions, why your actions are in a certain way.
I think you're asking about withdrawing your love,
Yeah.
is it? Yeah, it's the same.
It's
Yeah,
like
so if you
punishment.
withdraw your love from someone, it's the same as punishing them.
Okay? And these people, they do the things which really gives them appreciation. I can tell you about my example. When I finished my 12th class, I wanted to do engineering because I felt my parents would be happy only if I became a doctor or an engineer. So I chose engineering. And then to choose the engineering, I have to choose the department. So I saw, okay, which department gives the maximum respect? Oh, IT, the Indian tradition. So if you take up IT, that means you get more salary. That means you are respected by the society. If you take IT, there are so many proposals, offers. Even for your marriage, there are so many people willing to give their daughter. So I need respect from the outside. So I took the IT. Because I have gone through a lot of criticism. I come from a joint family. I've gone through a lot of criticism. I said, I don't think you are worthy enough. I don't think you can do it. So there is a lot of criticism, and because of the criticism, I want to prove myself. So I became a rebellious child. So I want to prove. So I always want to prove I'm better than somebody else. You see? And because of this, I wanted to do something better and higher so that I get the respect. So this criticism affects your self-esteem and it affects your self-respect. Had I been in total balance, I would have actually sat back and said, actually, what do I want to study? Forget about what respect the society is giving. Forget about what my parents are going to respect me around. What do I want? So that balance comes only when you respect yourself. Okay? And the beauty is, you can see that in the relationships. This chakra you can easily see in the relationship. Always the excessive will attract the deficient, and the deficient will attract the excessive. They both are victims of the same. The excessive person also doesn't have self-respect. The deficient person also doesn't have self-respect. So they attract each other. Whether it's in your workplace, or whether it's in your relationships, or whether it's in your friendship, you will see that. Two excessive people cannot stay together. Two dominant people, two egoistic people cannot stay together. It's always the opposite. And you reflect upon your relationship, it will be very easy to work on this self. And the beauty is, if one person works on that, it affects the other person also. Okay? So if you have your own self-respect, then your reaction changes, your action changes. So that affects the other person to work on themselves. Okay, this is something very beautiful to work on it. And they are very manipulative. Now this is something very interesting. They are very manipulative. They manipulate anything and everything to make sure they get the respect from outside. They are not authentic people. They are very highly manipulative people. And these people have an inner judgment. You know, whenever they meet somebody, the first things they will ask is, okay, what do you do? How much salary you get? How much houses you have? You know, what's your property? They look into that because they want to compare themselves quickly, whether the person is lesser than him or more than him. They have this judgment nature, ugly judgment nature. Either somebody is inferior or superior. So they want to immediately judge. And after this judgment, if the other person, if they feel the other person is little superior to them, they don't want to make friendship anymore. That's it. No, you are not immediate. If the other person is little less, they feel very comfortable. Hey, come, I'll take you to the restaurant. I'll buy for you this. Okay, come. Because they feel self-respect, you know, they self-respect. They think they are dominating the other, they are better than the other person. So they get a false sense of respect. You can notice this.
Not only that, you know, when the other person is a little bit higher, instead of, then they lose their friend particularly.
This is the problem with excessive and deficient. Okay, these are not healthy patterns. Naturally, that will end in a disaster only.
I agree.
Okay, and then again, a person who is deficient, they are victims. That means they have the ability to easily get manipulated by others. Can you see this? A person who is manipulating another person, that means that person is waiting. He is giving an invitation. I'm a victim. I'm ready for manipulation. So that's this chakra. So they have this energy within them. They give an invitation. Even strangers come and make them manipulated and go away. So they are so vulnerable. Okay. So they have this signboard written. And then they have this responsibility. They don't take responsibility. See, if you don't take responsibility in life, you will never learn anything. You will never grow in your life. If you don't take responsibility for your actions, you will never grow in your life. But these people, they never take responsibilities. They always throw the blame at others. They blame their father, they blame their mother, they blame their wife, they blame their husband, they even blame their children, and sometimes they blame God. It's all because of him. So they blame God also. So you can see these people, they're having this victimness. They always point the fingers at others. And this passive aggressive behavior, you know, so it's very interesting. You know, you have to look deep into it. People who have excessive, they have dominating behavior. You know, the excessive person always dominates. But a weaker person, he does this passive aggressive. So like a cat, he does, you know how the cat is? The cat does all the mischief work but remains quiet, as if he knows nothing. So these people, they do all those kind of work. Okay. And you have seen the balanced characteristics. Okay, now let us work on it. Now you are completely aware what are the consequences this chakra gives us. How do you work on it? How do you work on it? Somebody was asking about anger yesterday. I think he didn't come. So somebody was asking about anger. I'm getting angry, what should I do? You have to understand why the anger comes in. Why does the anger come in? Did you ever contemplate why does the anger come in?
frustration sometimes.
Yeah, anger leads you to frustration. But why does the anger come in? You are frustrated about what?
Because you're being told how you are instead of being asked how you are.
Okay. Then, if somebody tells you that, then what you feel?
Powerless.
Very angry.
You are coming closer. The other word?
Helpless.
Helpless. Give her a good round of applause. Anger comes because you are helpless. Whenever you are in a helpless situation, that is the time the anger comes in. You notice, the children is doing any naughty things. The mother says, don't do it once. The child doesn't stop. The child continues. The mother says again, don't do it. The child continues. The third time the mother gets angry. I told you don't do it. Because the mother feels helpless. So in that helpless situation, the anger comes. So in all your life situations, whenever you are feeling helpless, so that was the moment you get angry. If you are in control of the situation, you will not feel angry. Isn't it so? If you are in total control of the situation, there is no anger. But whenever there is a helpless situation, when you feel helpless, there is anger. If somebody tells you, don't do this or do this, and you are in a situation where you are helpless, you have to obey them, then you feel frustrated. But if you are in a situation very calm inside you, you can say, I don't agree with you. I think I'll do what I want. So then there is no anger there. You got it? So the anger comes because of the helplessness. So this is something you need to work on this, because this chakra is all about the fire energy, the anger energy. And once this anger comes in, it affects your emotions. And then you take actions according to this. So that's why each chakra is related to each chakra. Okay? So you need to be very aware of this. So now how do you work on it? The very energy which blocks this chakra is? What is the energy which blocks this chakra? What is the demon energy? Shame energy. And you need to transform this energy into self-respect. Now how do you work on this?
Identify.
Yeah, you have to identify. So what all the process we have gone through is identification. So you identify. So after identifying, what you do?
Process.
Yes. So what you need to do? Good, very good. So that is the answer. But how meditation helps?
Do it every day. It calms you down. It calms you down, so you're able to be much more in control of. So when you are in control of, then you don't become helpless. So that's how.
Yes, that is a sequence of actions which helps you in meditation. But first, the very fundamental issue is you need to transform this shame energy into self-respect. I'll give you something. I'll give an example. You are walking on the street, okay? There was another side of the road, other side of the street, there was a stranger. He just points the finger at you and calls you mad fellow, and he walks off. Do you care? Do you care? What do you think? At that moment, what will you think?
He doesn't
He
know.
is best. He is best.
He doesn't matter. That's why.
He doesn't matter. You see, you are walking on the street and a stranger calls you stupid and walks off. Do you react to that?
No.
Do you care for that?
Depends upon the location.
Okay, if you really care for it, then something is wrong with you. You have to look deep into it.
If it is my area, yes, I will care. If it is in some other area.
Okay, he is a stranger. You see, that's the
If it
reason.
is stranger in my area, yes, I care because he is obviously attacking my respect. So
Yes, yes. So this is where you need to look deeply into it. You are getting there. You are identifying perfectly. You are identifying it very
No, but
perfectly.
replace that person with a dog. If the dog barks,
You see, if a stranger comes and says something to you, normally you don't react, because the very first question is, what does he know about me? He's a mad fellow.
Yeah, you know you're not that.
Yeah? He's a mad fellow. What does he know about me?
But that
And
is-
like as she said, I think you attended the other class, right? Yes. As she said, a dog barks at you. Do you care for it? No, you don't care. Because you know very well what does the other person know about you. He doesn't know anything about you, so you don't care about it. Yes or no? If a random stranger says something, you are foolish, you are idiot, you are not a human, like that he says and he walks off. You don't care because he doesn't know anything about you, so you don't care. Similar situation, you try to put it in your own circle. A known person calls you something. It matters. A known person calls you, it matters. Your ego gets hurt. Yes or no?
Yes.
But why don't you apply the same situation? What does that person know about you?
As much as you know about yourself.
Exactly correct. As much as you know about yourself. If you have self-respect, you know about yourself deep down, do you think that situation will happen in the first place? No. Frequency attracts frequency. This is a universal law. Remember this point, my dear friends. Frequency attracts frequency. If you respect yourself, you will attract the situation where everybody respects you. If you don't respect yourself, you will attract the situation nobody respects you. So unless you respect yourself, you cannot have this self-esteem. And how do you respect yourself? If somebody is trying to, I'll give you the continuation of the same example. You know, you are just judging me. This fellow is a lousy fellow. He's not doing his job. You are giving this feedback. If I don't know myself, I will give value to your opinions and I feel ashamed of it. But if I know totally about myself and you give your judgments, you give your shame energy, and then I say, what do you know about me? You don't know anything about me. So it doesn't affect me. So this is on a very subtle note. Are you all with me? So respect is something which comes from within you. And if somebody says something, if an unknown stranger says something and you are reacting for it, that means you are giving value to others' opinions and you are not valuing your own self. So others' opinions matters a lot for you. That means you don't have your own opinion of you. So this is where you need to look deep into it. So what you need to do? How do you get self-respect? Where is the possibility? What you need to do to get self-respect?
When you have clarity on what you're doing, opinion doesn't matter to you, and you respect it.
Okay, so when will you get clarity?
Just by
We are speaking about self-respect, not what you are doing. We are speaking in terms of energy now. Okay, self-respect. So self-respect comes from the self. Unless you are totally connected to yourself, you cannot have self-respect. If you're not connected to yourself, like that means, we discussed in the first class, right? Body, mind, soul. We have 3 levels. We have a body, we have a mind, and we are a soul. So you are connected only on the body level. Do you think you have self-respect? If you think you are the body, you are connected only on the body level, you will not have self-respect. If you are connected only on the mind level, you will not have self-respect. And when you connect yourself, when you really connect yourself in deep meditation, in meditation, what are you doing? What are you doing in meditation? You are connecting to yourself. When you connect to yourself, you know about yourself. And when you know about yourself, do you care about others' opinion? Do you think anybody can shame you? If you know about yourself, do you think anybody can shame you? Is it a possibility? Even if somebody tries to shame you, you will see him like a barking dog. Yes or no? You know about yourself and somebody is trying to shame you, he will laugh at you. Wow, it's a grown-up dog, huh? So the energy doesn't affect you. You are emotionally centered, balanced, calm. And your actions are not to prove to anybody. Your actions will never to prove to anybody. You take responsibility for your actions, and your actions are for yourself. So this is how you balance this chakra. If you want to balance this chakra, you need to really connect yourself and know yourself. If you don't connect yourself, there is no possibility you will have self-respect. You will be a puppet of others' opinions. You will be a puppet of outside situations. So the outside controls you. So you are nothing but a slave of outside. Do you want to be a slave or do you want to be a master?
But it's not easy. I mean,
Nothing
not
is easy.
It's
You
not
unless
quite-
you work
it's a
on it.
long process to connect to yourself. Like even if you do meditation, it's not a magic. It takes years, maybe lifetimes.
Do you think you have any other option?
Yeah. But then it doesn't happen like magic also. Like
You are expecting a magic?
Of course not. That's not right.
It is not easy. That's why you are attending this class. So that when you understand the situation, it becomes easy. When you understand, you get angry because you are that situation, your helplessness. When you understand it, so whenever you are getting angry, you are introspecting. Rather than reacting to that, you take a step back and say, what am I feeling helpless about? So you take charge of the situation. You are introspecting. So when you are introspecting, you understand. So out of this understanding, you react differently. Okay? So based on these behavioral patterns, you say, okay, I have this excessive. Okay, what do I do about it? My ego is getting hurt. Why my ego is getting hurt? My ego is getting hurt because my understanding is narrow. So you make an attempt to broaden your understanding. Of course, it is not easy. It is not easy. But at the same time, it is not impossible.
That's true.
Okay? So you have no other choice. Unless you introspect, there is no way you can grow out of it. And this is an opportunity for you to grow, for you to transform. Okay? So this is not a punishment system. This is a system through which you can grow. Okay? So this is more of self-transformation. You got me?
Yeah.
1 day meditation? No. 2 days meditation? No. You have to be consistent. You have to be sincere. You have to be serious. Unless you are consistent, unless you are serious, nothing happens. Okay?
So we should come out of this survival consciousness and we should be aware that we are the conscious co-creators of our own life.
Survival consciousness comes in the root chakra.
So this is also like survival means like survival conscious expecting what others do. Expectation matters. We'll get angry when others are not reaching to a point, and so survival, right? We are living on others' expectations. We are
Yes.
living our life on
So
others'
your
expectations.
actions are dependent on others' expectations.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
survival
like-
is different. Actions are different. It is all again in an indirect way. It is linked
Yeah.
because others are judging you, and you take certain actions. Nothing to do with your survival actually. But you choose. You link the survival to this. You see, you need to have a clear distinction. The first chakra is all about survival. What is your attitude towards the very existence of you? That is survival. Okay, for your survival, you can do any action you want. You have to do some work for your survival? Yes, you have to do some work. So, that doing the work is an action oriented. So, what kind of work you choose? For example, she has given this example. I think this is a beautiful example here. So, this lady, okay, not a lady or a gent. Fine. Okay, this person is training hard. Is training hard to become a lawyer. A lawyer is her profession. She gets food from that profession. But she's training hard, but the root cause is not for survival, but the root cause is to get respected by others. You see the difference? So, she's doing work not for survival. She's doing work so that she gets respect by others.
She could be a cashier or something.
She could be anything. For survival, she can do anything. But she has chosen this profession because she was going through a shame energy and she doesn't respect herself. So that's why she's not happy with that job. She's definitely not happy with that job. But she's still doing it so that she can respect. She can get respect. A false respect, a fake respect from others. Do you understand? Any other questions?
I mean,
Okay, after.
I'm not quite sure how to rephrase the question, but I have.
Maybe you want to take some time?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll try
fine.
to think about.
I mean, basically, I was thinking about when you're presenting. So, if you don't criticize yourself, then you can't learn from your mistakes.
Reflection is different from criticism. Introspection is different from criticism. There is a very clear distinction. You can introspect, okay, what am I doing wrong? I'm open to learn. That is introspection. Criticism means you are judging. You are not perfect. You have done a mistake. You are a terrible person. That is criticism. Okay? When you come into conclusion, that is criticism. When you are open to look into where it went wrong, that is introspection.
This chakra, it reminds me of a word is called samta, like very highly evolved masters. They are not, upset about any criticism. At the same time, they don't need any praise, it doesn't affect them.
Very true. Very true. So when this chakra comes into balance, so these are the people, they will not be carried away when somebody is praising them, or they will not be upset if somebody is criticizing them. So they will be in a very happy, neutral space all the time. If somebody is criticizing, they will not feel wow. So if somebody is praising, they will not feel wow. If somebody is blaming them, or somebody is shaming them, they will not feel down. They will be always centered within themselves.
That is, as she said, very hard to achieve, isn't it, to go to that.
See, the moment you say hard, it becomes hard. What is the definition of hard and difficult? For me, making idli vada sambar is difficult.
Day-to-day life,
Because I don't practice it, it becomes difficult. But a person who is cooking every day, for you probably it is easier. For her it's a cakewalk. She cooks in half an hour, or even maybe 10 minutes, because she practices it every day. See, that practice makes it different. If you are not practicing, it becomes difficult. If you are practicing it, it becomes easy. See, the point is there is no other way. If there is another way, I don't think you will be here.
So this self-criticism can be overcome by positive self-talk, right?
No. You are using your mind.
Then,
It's a false thing. You are using your mind. Okay, I'm going to reprogram. You are using your mind to reprogram your mind.
okay.
So that's not going to work. It appears like it is working, but it is not going to work. Okay? You need to change the inner substance. Only when the inner substance changes, the outer changes. Okay? So
sometimes what I understood is that knowing the name of the game, knowing what's happening around, helps where you are, what role you are playing in this.
You need to understand what is the inner game first. When you understand the inner game, you know what to do with the outer game. If you don't understand the inner game, you understand only the outer game, you are stuck in the outer game. Make sense?
And what is the meaning of inner game though? That is a different discussion.
Oh, very simple discussion. The inner game means you know about yourself first. You know about yourself before you can. You see, you are ready to accept another person. Other person is saying you are this. You are ready to accept. How pathetic it is. You are accepting another person's opinion. You are accepting another person's opinion because you don't know about yourself. If you know about yourself, you will never accept others' opinions.
It's not about others, it's about name of the game. I mean, let's say you're playing something, cricket or something. So if you understood every rule of the game, then you participate, and even if you are not playing the game very well, you will not feel ashamed. Yes, I didn't score very well, so I am out.
This is what we are trying to do here, sir. We are trying to understand the bigger game of life.
Exactly. So that's what I am saying. That when I
you
understand all
understand
the rules of the cricket rules, then I won't feel ashamed even if I don't score very well. That's what.
You see, it is a very interesting analogy. In the external world, you understand. Suppose you want to go and get a good job. That means you need to understand what the job profile is, right? Unless you understand the job profile, you cannot survive in that job. If you are not a good player, you will not be in the game in the first place. Because you have to be a good player, then you will be in the team. So you have to be very good to yourself so that you can enjoy your life. You see the correlation? So you have, if you say, okay, I don't want to be good, but I want everybody to be good around me, it's not going to happen. It will never going to happen. So this is all about self. It is all about you. It's nothing to do with the outside world. The fact is, the outside is the creation of the inside. If the inner changes, the outer changes. You cannot change outside. Can you change the outside? You cannot change the outside.
You can understand outside.
You can understand outside provided you are connected to the inside. If you are not connected to the inside, you are frustrated about the outside. When you are connected to the inner, you understand the outer. So this is what happens in the self-transformation. The more you transform yourself, the more you understand yourself, the more you understand the outer. If you understand the outer, then the compassion comes. But the first basis is inner. I'll give you another example. This is a normal, common example I give. I like this example. You have a chocolate with you. You have a chocolate with you. And you want to give the chocolate. Can you give a chocolate? Understand this question very properly, please.
I'm not hungry yet.
No, understand this question. That's why I'm repeating. Understand this question. You have a chocolate and you want to give this chocolate to another person. Can you give?
Yes, if you have, you can give.
Yes?
Yes.
If you don't have a chocolate and you want to give a chocolate to another person, is it possible to give?
No.
It's not in your possession.
Who said yes? Very good, sir. Give him a good round of applause. He doesn't have a chocolate. Can you explain, sir?
Hold on.
Huh?
Hold on. Buy and give.
Be Robin Hood. Be Robin Hood.
No, the option of buying and giving is not there. He doesn't have and he wants to give. He cannot give. Buying and giving is a second question. That's another choice. Mind always complicates these things. This is the nature of mind.
In this room only, and you have a choice to give or not to give.
So, this is how it works. If you are peaceful inside, if you have the peace within you, there is a possibility you can change the outer into more peaceful way.
That's true.
Okay? If you are not peaceful inside you, there is no way you can create peace outside of you. There is no way you can radiate peace because you don't have that in the first place. So when you are having this self-respect within you, you know how to respect others. When you understand yourself, you know how to understand others. This is how the game goes. Okay? Make sense to you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So if someone is criticizing you, or if someone is commenting about you, basically what you're saying is,
Just laugh about it. What does the other person know about you?
No, but
Yeah,
the
but
experience
if-
counts, right? Sometimes your dad is telling you something, criticizing
Yes,
something.
yes.
And you can't say, I don't care about it.
Yes, that is a childhood state, right? So
Even in adult stage also, now also. you
no.
can't.
As an adult, you have a choice. See, you have to understand this. When you are a small child, you are helpless. You are dependent on him for economical reasons.
Yeah.
You are dependent on him for your safety, for your protection. Okay, you are in a helpless situation when he's trying to control you.
Yes.
But when you are a grown-up adult, you have all the tools to be self-sufficient economically or anything. And at that time, if he's trying to criticize you, you have the capacity to say, Dad, your words are hurting me. Please don't speak like that.
Okay, hurting is different, but.
But don't
if
criticize me.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, don't criticize me. If you respect yourself, you will say, hey, don't criticize me. I'm not that.
But we do take advices or anything from seniors or elders?
You are
Or no?
confusing.
No.
You are confusing the advice with criticism.
Okay.
Okay. Advice, you know how the advice is? Advice doesn't come in the form of criticism.
But what I'm thinking is like if you don't say anything
I can
back,
understand where you guys are coming from.
but if you don't answer anything back, so you're accepting what they're saying.
You know, you don't need to accept also. It is your choice. You don't need to accept also. For example, you know, it's the same case with my dad right now. Okay. Exactly the same case. So whenever I go to my hometown, he keeps telling, okay, my son, my friend's son, he has bought a house in Manhattan. Okay. My other friend's son, he has gone there. He's earned so much money. They are gifted people, they are blessed people. He says like that. So that is a criticism. So indirectly, he's criticizing, what are you doing? You have done IT, you have done your masters, you quit your job and you are a vagabond. He calls me a modern beggar. He calls me a modern beggar. You see, a beggar goes around, asks for, you know, food and this. You are a modern beggar. You don't ask for it. You go around, people voluntarily give you. So he calls me a modern beggar who flies in the flight. So he criticizes me, but I smile at him. I smile at him. I don't react back. I smile at him because I understand where is he coming from.
Yeah.
See, I have a deep respect towards myself. Because of my intense meditation journey, I started respecting myself. And I know who am I, right? And if my dad is saying that, you are useless, you know, you are wasting your time, you are wasting your life, that's all criticism. When he's saying that, I don't react back. I don't even say a single word. I smile at him, I say, how are you doing? I just smile at him, I say, how are you doing? I have come all the way to see you. How are you doing?
Doesn't he slap you?
No. How can he slap me? When I'm so nice and loving, how can he slap me? Whenever I go, his third chakra gets into shaken mode. His total third chakra gets shaken now. So when I don't reply back, when I have this smile, when he can see the confidence in me, immediately the reflection goes back, is there something wrong with me? Like he thinks, is there something wrong with me?
No, but so the people.
The example I gave you is to understand, okay? It's nothing to do with the outside. In the beginning, he criticized. Now, he started changing. Now, he started looking into himself. One person changes in the family, it creates a ripple effect. So, other person also changes. You know, I'll give another example. Your wife is nagging at you, and you are not responding to that nagging.
Yeah.
You are just always smiling at her. What will happen?
She'll keep on. She'll do it more.
No. Can you see the response? You see, the other person changes. Because she nags you to irritate you, and if you're not irritated,
She'll keep going.
she is in trouble. So she goes through an introspection. You got it?
Yeah.
So that's how it creates a ripple effect. One person changing creates a ripple effect across whoever. It's a circle. First the family, friends, society, and then the nation, and then the whole world changes like this. It all starts with you.
But if you don't answer back, then the people around you think that, okay, this person has done a
Again,
mistake.
this is the basic issue. Why do you worry about others' opinion? You got it? Why do you...
But you are creating that impression, right?
Forget about what you are creating. Why you care about others' opinion?
I'm mainly thinking about workplace because it happened in the workplace.
Yes.
With my colleague.
So you need to work. You need to look, introspect deeply into this. Okay? See, this work culture, unfortunately, all the people who are stuck in their root chakras, second chakra, third chakra, only those people work in the corporates, unfortunately. The people who have balanced those chakras and go into the heart space, they don't want the corporate culture anymore. They go into some airy, fairy, spiritual field. That's an unfortunate situation. But now more and more is coming. So that's where your job is. When you change, your team changes. You can be an inspiration.
You can bring your team over here. They will have a
I mean,
self-realization.
I was just thinking, all the imbalances we are talking about in all these 3 chakras, I can relate all this to my manager.
Yes, very good. Give him a good round of applause. You know why I asked him to give him a good round of applause?
Because
This is how the mind works. This is exactly how the mind works. It's easy to find fault with others, but very difficult to find fault within yourself. You are 100% correct. When you go through this, you will think, I think my wife is like that. I think my husband is like that. I think my boss is like that. But there is a lot of resistance inside you to accept the truth, to face the truth. You need a lot of energy, you need a lot of guts to face your own self. And that energy you get in meditation. The more meditative you are, the more you can look deep into yourself. See, you can able to find problems in the other person, right? So if you become little more meditative, you have the capacity to transform yourself. It's easy to point fingers
So
at
are we
others.
saying that he's not doing, the other person is not doing mistakes?
Forget about other person. No judgments. What do you know about your manager? What do you know about your manager to judge him? To know about him, you need a Himalayan amount of data. Do you know all his past lives? Do you know his childhood? Do you know what traumas he is having? Do you know his karmic account? Do you know his karmic balance sheet?
Not
But
only
he,
that,
he
he's
should
his
not
own
show all his frustration to others, right?
According to him, he is doing his dharma. Okay, you have attended your workshop now. And if you react to that, you are not doing your dharma. Okay? So, this is the second chakra. Stop all the judgments. You are judging him, right? Because subconsciously, there is a shadow aspect inside you that is troubling you. So look into the shadow aspect. He will take his own time to change.
But he will not change.
No, that is a judgment. That is a judgment. When you say he will not change, that is a judgment.
He's already he's reaching retirement age.
No. No, you cannot speak those words. The moment you are speaking those words, you are judging. Okay? So, this is an opportunity for you to introspect. It takes one step at a time. Remember in the beginning of the class what I said, be kind to yourself. This workshop is going to trigger all your points. So be kind to yourself. So be kind to yourself. Be like a sponge. Absorb as much as you can. And go through the self-reflection mode. Meditate more. Because only you can transform yourself. Nobody else can. You cannot control your manager, but you can control yourself. You cannot change your manager, but you can change yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm controlling myself at workplace. It's only I'm saying.
No.
Yeah.
Control means your inner frustration. Understand your inner frustration. When you understand your inner frustration, you know what to do about it. Okay? And this is not overnight. Okay? This is an iterative process. It's an iterative process. People work for years together.
So basically, what we are saying is, don't judge others.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Whenever you are judging others, there is a shadow inside you.
Okay. Just
You are
keep going. Oh.
look within. Look within. Look within and keep going.
You are looking within. The problem is that you have to spend time and that on the day's event when you are doing meditation where you are not supposed to think about anything.
Sir, did you try meditation?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you try this sincerely. You meditate every day. You meditate every day for 40 days. And you face the same situation. If you meditate every day, you become calm within you. You will definitely see your manager changing or your boss changing. Why don't you take it as an experiment? When you change, the outer is also changing. Unless you experiment, you will not understand. I understand your question, but if you want to understand my answer, you have to experiment. Because whatever I say, you are going to think in your mind, and that is going to throw another question.
Right.
So because whatever I'm speaking from a consciousness level, I'm speaking from an energy level.
Right.
Okay? So if you try to understand from your mind level, it will never understand. you will throw another question. So I will never able to answer it. But when you experiment and experience, that experimenting, that experience will give you a lot of answers.
Understand.
Yeah? Makes sense? We are only in the third. We have another 4 more left. Don't worry, these 3 are the toughest ones. Most of the humanity, they are stuck in these 3. Most of the humanity, they are stuck in these 3. And they can't even go to the 4. They are frozen. They are stuck in their heart chakra. The next we will do is the heart chakra. Okay? So we will take a 10 minutes break. You can have a hot water, coffee, tea or whatever. And we'll gather back after 10 minutes.
I think we can do the lunch actually. It's 25 minutes. 1:45, right?
We are going till 7 minutes. 10 minutes break. After heart chakra, we can do the integration. After lunch, we can do the integration. We can do lunch break 1:30. 1:30. Half an hour break.
మా వైఫ్ అలాగే చేస్తుంది అవి అంటుంటే నేను సైలెంట్ నాకు ఇంకెక్కువ చేస్తున్నాను అర్థమవుతుందా అంటే మేనేజర్ విషయంలో అర్థమైంది కానీ
Manager is giving me nightmares.
So he's saying I can understand with my manager, but I can't understand with my wife.